Welcome to Spotlight Chronicles. All right, so today we're diving into like a really fascinating story.
Okay.
Kind of complex too.
Right.
It involves this French like cinematic icon, right, Alain Delon,
Right.
and this like mysterious murder, the whole Stevan Markovic affair.
Oh, wow.
So over I guess the next little while here, we're going to kind of like unpack some of the events, introduce you to some of the people involved.
Okay.
And explore some of the like questions that have just kind of lingered around this case.
Interesting.
You know, and looking at all the stuff that's been written about this, it seems like people are looking for a good mystery, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like a blend of like celebrity scandal,
Yeah.
the darker side of life,
Sure.
and maybe even like some political power dynamics. You know,
Yeah.
it's all about understanding how these different worlds kind of collided back then.
Think about it. Alain Delon was this huge star,
Oh, yeah.
like the face of French cinema. But his early life was anything but glamorous.
Yeah, his story is interesting, right? Like you said, he was this rebellious kid, got kicked out of a bunch of schools. Then he joins the Navy, which doesn't exactly go smoothly either.
No, he ended up getting dishonorably discharged in 1956.
Right after spending some time in like military prison.
Yeah.
Not exactly the typical path to stardom, is it?
Not at all. But then the 60s hit, and bam, he's a massive star.
Yeah, he just explodes onto the scene, doesn't he?
He does, and it's not just his on-screen persona.
No, his personal life was, well, I mean, colorful is putting it mildly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Multiple relationships, a fiery temper.
Fights with photographers, openly hanging out with people who were kind of on the edge of the law.
It's like he cultivated this image of charm and danger all mixed together.
Right. It makes you wonder if that's part of what drew him to someone like Stevan Markovic.
Markovic is an interesting character, right? 31 years old, Serbian background, allegedly connected to some shady stuff back in Serbia.
Oh, yeah, like the state secret police.
Exactly. Not just petty crime, we're talking about potential covert operations.
And yet, he somehow ends up in France, granted political refugee status.
It's kind of strange, isn't it?
It is, especially when you consider that he also had a criminal record in France.
Right. Violence theft?
Like, deportation was a real possibility.
But somehow he managed to stay.
Yeah, maybe with the help of some powerful friends.
Who knows?
And then he crosses paths with Delon.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, Delon hires Markovic as his bodyguard. They reportedly met a few years earlier on a film set in Belgrade. But the thing is, by the time Markovic is found dead, that whole professional relationship had ended.
So you have to ask yourself, what was their relationship really like?
Right.
These are two very different guys.
Yeah. And what happened that led to them parting ways?
It's like the setup for a thriller.
It is. And then on October 1st, 1968, Markovic's body is found.
Where?
At a rubbish tip near Paris.
Oh, wow.
Wrapped in a mattress cover. And the cause of death was brutal. Multiple blows to the head and neck, probably with a heavy object.
So this wasn't just a random act.
No, it seems very deliberate. And when they identify him through his fingerprints, well, the connection to Delon puts the actor right in the spotlight.
Of course, as a person of interest.
At least at first. Now, Delon initially stays quiet, right?
Yeah, he was filming in Saint-Tropez.
Let his lawyers handle things.
Typical celebrity playbook when trouble hits.
Right. But the police, they weren't buying it.
No, they quickly make him a prime suspect.
Do you think it was Markovic's background that made them suspicious?
Could be. I mean, he was connected to some powerful people.
And the rumors started swirling almost immediately?
What kind of rumors?
About a possible motive? Jealousy.
Oh, really?
Apparently, Delon had fired Markovic after finding out he was having an affair with his wife, Natalie Barthélemy.
Delon's wife.
Yeah, but here's the thing, they were already separated. And in the middle of a divorce.
So not exactly a straightforward love triangle.
Right. It makes you wonder if there was something more to it.
Yeah, especially when you consider the time period.
The swinging 60s in Paris?
Exactly.
Wild parties breaking social norms.
A lot more openness around relationships.
So for someone to get murdered over an affair in that context?
It just doesn't quite add up.
No, it feels like there's a missing piece to the puzzle.
There's got to be more to the story.
And then there's the last known sighting of Markovic. September 22nd, he gets into a taxi on Avenue de Messina.
That's someone.
Yeah, with another man. Described as being around 50 years old.
And that's the last anyone sees him alive.
It is. And then we have these letters.
Letters?
Yeah, that Markovic wrote to his brother Alexander.
What kind of letters?
They were in Serbian. And apparently kind of rambling and cryptic.
Hard to follow.
Yeah, there's one sentence that stands out.
What does it say?
If I get killed, it's 100% the fault of Alain Delon and his godfather, Francois Marcantoni.
Wow. That's a pretty direct accusation.
It is, and it brings in this whole other element to the story.
Francois Marcontoni, all right.
Former French resistance fighter turned gangster, well-known in Parisian show business, and very close to Delon.
So now it's not just about Delon.
No. It implicates someone with serious underworld connections.
This must have been a huge scandal.
Oh, yeah. The media went crazy. All these sensational claims started coming out.
Like what?
That Markovic was involved with all these celebrities and politicians, that he was hosting these wild parties, and maybe even blackmailing people with compromising photographs.
Wow.
It's a classic recipe for scandal. But here's the thing. There's no actual evidence to support any of this. None whatsoever. But the rumors persisted.
Why do you think that is?
I think people are just fascinated by the idea of secrets and hidden lives.
Especially when it comes to the rich and famous.
Right, and when you throw in politicians...
It adds a whole other layer of intrigue.
It does. People love a good conspiracy.
Especially when there's a power dynamic at play.
And that's where the political dimension of this whole thing really kicks in.
How so?
Because now, the name of Georges Pompidou starts getting thrown around.
Pompidou, the former prime minister?
Yeah, he was on track to become the next president of France.
Yeah.
And his wife, Claude.
They were known for socializing with celebrities.
Right. So they became an easy target for these rumors.
And what were people saying?
That Markovic had compromising photos of Madame Pompidou.
Photos from those alleged parties?
Exactly. And to make things even crazier, a Yugoslav criminal who was already in prison in Paris, he claims that he went to one of these parties with Markovic. And that Claude Pompidou was there.
So now there's an actual witness?
Sort of. It's just one guy's word. But it was enough to fuel the fire.
It's incredible how a murder investigation could get so tangled up with politics.
It is. And whether the rumors were true or not, they had the potential to really damage Pompidou's reputation.
Especially with the election coming up.
Right. It makes you wonder if someone was deliberately spreading these rumors.
To discredit him, maybe?
Possibly. And then just when you think things couldn't get any more complicated, there's a new development.
What happened?
A second autopsy is done on Markovic's body. And they find a bullet.
A bullet?
Yeah, a 6.35 millimeter bullet lodged in the back of his head.
So it wasn't just a beating?
No, this was an execution.
Wow, that changes everything.
It suggests a level of planning and cold-bloodedness.
And how did the police react to this?
Well, they ramped up their investigation, and in January of 1969, they arrest Francois Marcontoni.
Delon's godfather.
Yes, they charge him with Markovic's murder.
And Delon?
He's interrogated for 35 hours.
35 hours.
Yeah. But ultimately, they release him without any charges.
So what was the evidence against Marcontoni?
Well, it seems to revolve around a mattress.
A mattress?
Yeah, apparently Marcontoni had bought this very specific high-end mattress a few months before Markovic's death.
Okay.
And the mattress cover that Markovic's body was found in, it was the same brand and type as the one Marcontoni bought.
Interesting.
And to make things even more suspicious, the delivery guy who brought the mattress to Marcontoni, he remembers seeing some unique holes in the cover.
Holes that were also on the cover found with Markovic's body.
Exactly.
That does sound pretty damning.
It does. But as we know, things aren't always what they seem.
Yeah. So what happened?
Well, in 1969, Charles de Gaulle resigns.
Right.
And Georges Pompidou launches his presidential campaign.
With all this scandal still hanging over him.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Marcontoni is still in prison awaiting trial. But then during the trial, the case against him starts to fall apart.
How so?
The judge throws out the mattress cover evidence.
Really? Why?
He says that anyone could have got that type of mattress.
Okay. I guess fair.
And then he dismisses Markovic's letters.
The ones accusing Delon and Marcontoni.
Yeah, he calls them the ramblings of a disturbed mind.
Wow, so the key pieces of evidence are just gone.
Pretty much. And with that, Marcontoni is granted bail.
So what happens next?
The investigation drags on for another 5 years.
5 years.
But they never find enough evidence to convict anyone.
And the case is eventually dismissed.
It is leaving us with a lot more questions than answers.
And what about the fallout from all of this?
Well, Pompidou's reputation was definitely tarnished. And some say it even hurt his relationship with de Gaulle. And Delon's career suffered too.
Even though he was never charged.
Right. The suspicion never really went away.
So what are the theories about what really happened?
Well, some people think it was a gangster feud, maybe connected to Marcontoni's past, and that the whole thing got exploited for political gain.
To damage Pompidou.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Others believe that Markovic was blackmailing someone.
Someone powerful.
Right. And that they had him silenced.
To protect themselves.
It's hard to know for sure.
I guess we'll never really know the whole truth.
No, but there is one final piece to the puzzle. Before Francois Marcantoni died in 2010, he said something very cryptic.
What was it?
He said, "There are only 3 people who know the truth. Delon, me, and God."
Wow.
And now, with both Marcantoni and Delon gone, the truth is likely buried with them.
It's a mystery that will probably never be fully solved.
And that's what makes this whole story so fascinating. It's a glimpse into a world of celebrity crime and political intrigue, a world where the lines between truth and fiction are blurred, and where the secrets of the past can continue to haunt us today. So what do you think, our listener? What's your take on the evidence and the theories? It's a case that continues to capture the imagination and leaves us wondering what really happened all those years ago. See you next time on Spotlight Chronicles.